Welcome, everybody, to the May 12th Flint Public Library Board of Trustees meeting, calling them one meeting to order at 7 o'clock on now 7:01 on May 12th. First item is to approve the minutes from April 14th. Anybody have any comments?
We did see something. I don't know if I printed them out though.
Yeah, do you need a copy?
Stephanie, no, it's only the one little thing.
Oh.
I think, oh, here they are. Stephanie, on page 2, under Director's Report number 2, you spelled Asher with an S-H-E-R, and I believe it's S-H-U-R. Yeah. Good catch. But other than that, they're perfect.
Very good catch.
I love 2 pages. Boy, am I happy to see this.
Move to accept with that edit.
Okay.
Thank you,
Should we
Gus.
make a motion? Second.
We have a second, and Susan, all in favor?
I don't think we have to, but yes, aye.
Thank you. Moving onward to item C, Friends of the Flint. I'm not seeing Annie here.
Annie's not, she emailed her very brief report
Okay,
tonight, so I will read that on her behalf.
thank you.
And her email reads, our annual campaign that began in January continues to go well. We are at $12,809 as of April 30th, 2025. With a big boost in April from a donor for $1,904, there was a $96 processing fee for the charity. So that helped tremendously towards the $12,809. So Elise is the accountant. Elise and Annie are working on the Friends of the Flint taxes for FY24, and and have requested an extension, but
The
will be
Friends of the
filing
Flint?
soon.
Oh, you said the
Yes.
Friends of Flint, you said,
Friends of
right?
the
I
Flint.
didn't hear you correctly for a minute.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
Elise and Annie are working on FY24 taxes. And that's it for Friends of the Flint updates.
Well, thank you to the donor. Thank you very much for that. And all the donors that added to this month's Friends Drive. We appreciate it. I didn't welcome all the thousands of listeners, but we appreciate you joining us. Item D, moving on to our trustees report. Update on the high school scholarship. I don't have one.
Okay,
I know we were slated to give $1,000, but I have not had any activity or communication.
we can
So
table it for next meeting.
we're gonna have to, yeah. I
So is
didn't,
it that you haven't been able to get them?
no, we did, and we committed to it, and he was going to give us a list to review, and
Last meeting, you said that you were trying to get a hold of them and you had missed one person and.
That, this was for.
that was the scholarship for
Oh, that
the,
was the
last-
for
asset
last year.
Yeah.
for last year.
that
Yeah.
we never got to the person.
Oh, my. Oh, okay.
Yeah, still have not,
Yeah.
still not heard there, but even this, the most recent one, there has not been any activity. He's not sent a list or anything, so.
Got it.
So moving quickly on to reviewing policies 13, 27, and 33 for rescinding, possible rescinding.
So Allison and I took a look at some of the policies and trying to do a little house keeping. So 13, 27, and 33, we reviewed, and she and I both agreed that they're either redundant because they're stated in other policies, or they are not necessary. So policy 13 is tobacco, marijuana, and other substances. That goes in, that wording is all in our code of conduct policy. So we feel that it's not needed.
Nice to condense.
Can I just ask a question? Do
Absolutely.
you folks have naloxone?
We do,
Okay.
yes. And we have staff trained
Okay.
on that. It's part of our CPR and AED
Okay.
training.
Thank you.
Yes, great question.
Is that, to expand on that, is that provided through the town?
So Narcan, yes.
Yeah,
I heard there's some,
As part of the opioid grant.
And the training too. Yeah.
Yes,
probably the top,
it's
yeah.
our
Fire
fire
department,
department's
yeah.
wonderful enough. And so they will do our CPR, AED, and Tracy Mella. sheet will do the night.
They also had on their website for people to look at, is that the fire department opened it up to the public, they're doing CPR. training.
Excellent,
I've
There's
done
one,
that, yeah.
I think it's this month or next month, and then I asked Doug, he says he'll do another one,
great.
so they're doing, it's nice just that it's open to the public.
Doug
Yes.
usually hosts those himself or teaches those himself. Usually, it's really good.
Yeah, he's great.
So policy 27 is the library parking lot policy. And it says that handicap parking is provided, which is pretty obvious.
Well, we have good signage. We do.
Library, exactly. It's painted and signs. So,
Isn't it also required by the state too? So
So-
you have to, right? It's, you have to require, provide so many spaces.
I believe it's a percentage
Of
of
the
the spaces that you
space.
have
You have to have
to
so
be
many
and within
by the
so
state,
far.
so we have, no, we have to do that, right?
I'm not 100% sure on the law on that, but I can.
I think like we have to have.
There
ramps, there has to be-
is, you know,
it's
in
for the
any
environment,
public
Any pub-
parking lot.
Right, but I don't know.
It's like the ramp we have there that was required when we built it, so I'm sure the parking spaces.
ADA.
Whether it goes by
ADA,
square
right.
footage
I
or
would
whether it's
think.
number of parking
Yeah,
spaces,
it's,
I don't know.
it's based on
Parking spaces.
parking space.
Right, and then
So
to be
the,
close to
the
the
bigger
door.
your parking lot, the more
More
handicap.
So that brings up my thought, exactly, Costa, that if we are gonna be lucky enough to expand with the fire station decisions, our parking lot, we better look at the percentage and make sure.
Oh,
we
they'll
have-
do that. We don't look at it. That would be the town. that
But
would
just
take
to
care of that
consider how
and
many we
engineer.
have and if we need to have another one.
Well, they would do all that. Nothing for us to worry about.
Sorry, are there times where all the handicap spots are filled and you've had
The
people?
only time I can ever recall all of the spots being filled were during our summer programs, when we have multiple things going on at the same time. It's the only time I can ever remember the whole people.
Can I also ask about one of the last one there, Loretta? No unauthorized overnight parking is allowed. Now, is that incorporated somewhere else? Because you worry about people coming and sleeping in their cars overnight. Is that incorporated somewhere else?
That's enforced by the police too.
It's,
no
it's on,
overnight
it's,
parking.
so all our municipal parking lots, that's in our, that's something the police cover, it's under the town code, I don't know
Correct.
where it would
believe
be.
So we actually had that situation earlier
I
this
remember,
year.
that's why I
And
make
right,
that
and so the
statement.
police actually monitor our parking lot and they
Yeah.
took care of it.
Yes, I do remember that, he had several warrants, yeah, and they were able to remove the person. Okay,
So,
it is
I mean, if
somewhere
that's
else.
something we wanted to, if that's specific wording, that last line, if we wanted to add that somewhere else, I mean, we could put it.
Or could you look if
But-
it's somewhere else, maybe, if it isn't somewhere else? Or if it is, then that's fine, but if it isn't. we
It's
should-
not, it's not
Then we
anywhere
should
else in any of our
incorporate it.
policies,
Well, you know,
but
if to enforce it, it's gotta be somewhere where people that don't look at library policies can know about it.
I'm just gonna say a sign. Outside.
They do
Sign.
have, you see signs in places that say no overnight parking. I mean, it's just some way, I don't want to ever have it be that we remove this and someone says, you do not have a policy, the police are
Well-
different. I don't know, I'm just trying to make sure.
Is there nothing over there by the fire station that says this?
Probably not overnight parking, we don't have a sign like that, right, Loretta? No.
You know,
She would
and,
know if we
you know,
did, yeah.
the permitting over, letting somebody park overnight that doesn't sleep in their car, which is kind of, you know, different.
Correct, it's different.
It is not a big issue if there isn't a snowstorm. If there's a snowstorm
Hmm.
and you have overnight parkers
So bad.
and they don't move their car in
Mhm.
time for the DPW to do a proper job plowing, then it creates a problem for the patrons.
Correct,
But, you know, other than, you know, if somebody's visiting somebody that lives across the street and leaves their car here overnight and is gone, you know, before the library opens. You
I would
know,
assume though that they would still call the police and say, I just want to let you know
Or put a
that my
note on
car
it.
is gonna be parked at the library overnight.
Right, and so the the word unauthorized is in there because we share the parking lot with the fire department and their vehicles are here overnight. So this is specific to patrons, so if we wanted to take a look, Allison, you and I,
Yeah.
at
We-
adding in a line to the code of conduct policy.
Yeah, of all the things
be
we
good.
looked at this month, that one line, we thought, maybe it ought to go somewhere.
so maybe if you guys could do that and let us
We can
know.
do that for next month.
Yes,
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. It just stuck out because of it,
But I do
situation
want to
that
say,
happened.
Loretta, that I was very, very happy to see that you're really cleaning these policies up. It's really good.
It's nice to consolidate, it makes it easier.
Exactly. It's, well, and it makes it easier for patrons and staff.
It's all there. in
We
one
have more
spot.
policies.
True enough.
So,
Thank you.
Maybe
And the-
one day we should think, I'm sorry, maybe one day we should think of renumbering them. So there aren't gaps.
absolutely.
Oh, yes, you're right. That makes sense.
I think once we get everything cleaned
Yeah,
up,
yes,
this is when.
Yes.
So the
Gotcha.
final policy that I recommend rescinding that Allison and I took a look at is policy 33, public relations policy. So this is one that it basically states what we do and where, and I don't feel that it needs to be a policy. It's more what we do, like our mission statement, our vision statement, that states what we do. Why. And this just kind of gets into very nitty gritty specifics, and I just don't feel that it makes sense as a policy.
Especially since that, what was the date that was reviewed? That was how many years?
2017.
Yeah,
It was adopted in
2017.
95, and then last revision was
And
2017.
think about all the different social media and all the different digital forms of communication that have come up since 8 years ago.
So, I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on those 3 policies.
I would make a
Get
motion
rid of
to, I would make a motion to
that provision.
revision, yeah, I would make a
The
motion
unauthorized.
to rescind those 3 policies, 13, 27, and 33, with the exception that Loretta, you will look into the item that states on the policy 27, no unauthorized overnight parking is allowed, perhaps to be incorporated in the code of conduct if it is not already.
Perfect.
I will second that.
And
You know, that's Stephanie.
I go too fast. It's like this, a
She's good.
recording.
I'm just making
There's a
sure. Oh,
recording
I
too,
forgot.
don't
Yeah,
forget.
okay. Yeah.
Because if my Boston accent was too heavy.
Yep, thank you. All in favor? Sorry, I lost track.
Hi.
Nice job.
Teamwork.
Be over there. Nice job.
excellent. So just to clarify,
Yes.
we're adding the word into the code of conduct, that
That
last clause. Are we looking into getting signage? Because I can reach out to the DPW, but okay, we've not had much luck with
I
signs, and I
don't think
honestly.
this is the time.
don't
I
care.
think once we're dealing with what's going on over at the fire station, we have some parking questions coming up. We may have to add a handicap accessible space, then we can all bundle it all together, I suggest.
That'll be a while.
And
Yeah, it'll
again,
be-
it's in the policy, so if we need to enforce it through the police department,
Right.
they can enforce it and we can address it when we have to. And if we need to add signs at that point.
Perfect. Excellent, love it.
I like
Thank you,
it.
Very good.
Let's go.
appreciate it.
Moving on to our director's report.
Wait a minute, one
No, you got one
more
more
item.
item.
What did I miss?
The bottom one.
I'm
Allison.
I'm asleep. My
Allison,
bad. Yep.
Allison,
Ah, thank you. Thank you.
MLTA.
I put notes all over it too, so I was about to miss it. What I'd like to, I did send a report that I hope you all saw, and I also wanted to hand out, Maria, if you would just
Yeah.
pass this down. I think there's one extra for Stephanie.
Okay, you have one for Loretta?
There might be, yeah, I don't need one, so.
Let's see if there's another. One.
This is a flyer that the Mass Library Trustees
3, 4,
Association
There's
is
enough for the rest.
handing out at the Mass Library Association Conference. MLA's conference is happening next week. And I'm gonna be there as the president of MLTA to speak to a program we're sponsoring and about legislative stuff. And this flyer will be in everyone's conference tote bag. You know, as you register, you get a tote bag with a bunch of information. And so we developed this we're not known yet and we need to be kind of available as a resource for library trustees. So just kind of even as an organization, sitting there and brainstorming, well, what do we offer? And how do we find out what else we could offer? So we printed this up, very simple, nice bookmark if you need one. And I just thought it would supplement what I had written in the report.
Is this a new organization or has it been around for a while?
It's been around for 30 years at least. And they were very, very active for a lot of years. And then, you know, gradually,
I'm trying to get reinvigorated.
We're reinvigorating it, and I think that kind of happened when they asked me to be president, because that's kind of, the infrastructure is kind of what I feel comfortable working on, and communication is something we're always revisiting.
And Loc Tossill's in, I see Tossill here, Wakefield.
Oh,
which is
I
right-
just put a few,
Yeah.
because there's many.
I mean, locally.
But look, I tried to.
Right
name a
next
few
door
locally.
here in North
Right.
Andover.
And the interesting thing is that they haven't raised their membership fees in years and years. And they do have many, as I listed, library, whole board memberships for $100 a year. So no matter how many trustees you have, it includes everybody. In our case, we're getting a 20% discount because we have 5 trustees. And it would have been $125 if we all went individually. I just don't think that it's a big ask for this board to join their professional organization. Costa, you're already kind of doing stuff like the legislative breakfast, and we're all on the E list, because when the MBLC sends out something about MLTA, we'll all get it anyway. So I think support,
I'll stop you there. I'll move that we join the worldwide membership for $100 and,
From state aid,
yeah,
state aid.
from state aid.
I'll second that.
If I could
Oops,
just
sorry.
put in my 2 cents. We have a line in our operating budget for dues
Oh,
and
okay.
memberships. So I would
I'll
know,
change my motion. to
over,
out
I
of
would rather use that.
What-
line
what's the
instead
specific
of
line?
state, But
Dues.
I
Dues and
also,
membership?
if we're looking at one or the other,
So which one?
dues, or
Dues.
dues and membership is one line.
It's one line, so the
yeah,
budget.
and
cost is
is
the membership.
that generally all spent on other things? Okay,
No, so right now, there's one that we're not renewing.
Okay.
So
Okay, so then I changed my motion just to change it to, instead of state aid, to the budget line and dues and membership.
perfect, then I would need an invoice.
Then you would need an invoice. I can get you an invoice. I'm the president.
Oh, that's your thoughts or
No, that,
feelings?
it seems every resource is a good resource.
And the other thing is, I want to hear from you guys, even if you talk to me at these meetings before, after, or if you attend a Zoom into the, MLTA meetings, what you want from us. We want to provide you programming, like, just, my idea is hot topic of the month. If we're all talking about library construction, let's have a meeting to have trustees get together and talk about library construction. I mean, whatever the topic is, because boy, we never run out of topics to discuss, right?
Thank you.
But thank you, no, thank you all. I appreciate that.
Sorry,
Susan.
lose my notes.
Yep.
So we've been motioned
I
and seconded.
seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Allison. All right, I'm sorry I skipped over that. I thought we were done with that line. Now, going on to the director's report. Circulation updates is first, looks like.
You, yes, so the circulation updates, I'm gonna pass around the circulation report, thank you, everyone. For your patience as I worked on that. So everyone has a lot of numbers we're gonna be referencing, because we haven't had a chance to go over this together since
Next one, Mr.
the winter.
Maybe Loretta doesn't. have
Read it, it's so large print, I love it. When I print it out, it comes up.
So the numbers we're going to be looking at heavily tonight are on the second page. So April FY 25 and April FY 24. So we'll be looking at fiscal year 25 and 24 totals as well. So I was able to go through all of MBLC's circulation reports that are generated by our ILS, our circulating software. and plugged in all our months, added in our overdrive statistics, which we were missing our overdrive audio numbers, which is why we saw dips in our circ numbers. There were a couple smaller things, but that was the one that affected our numbers the most. So I went back all the way to the beginning of the fiscal year, July, and added everything in. So the numbers that you see are all updated, going back to July.
It's pretty exceptional.
We have an absolutely amazing year. So I was saying to Costa and Stephanie, before we started the meeting, that I'm gonna have to throw a party for the staff because we have seen, I mean, we had record-breaking numbers in the 8,000s before. But if you look at March, we have a record-breaking number of over 8,700 circulations for the month of March, which is amazing, amazing, amazing. So yes, it's a longer month. We don't have any holidays.
Cold.
And it was cold and rainy, so even our attendance was strong in March. So the people were looking for things to do and they came to their library, which I am thrilled about. So I'm happy to report that after going through everything with a fine-tooth comb, looking at our circulation numbers year over year, so this time FY 25 to FY 24, we have 6,456 items circ'd over.
Say
FY
again?
24. We have 6,456 items we've circled over this year over last. So we thought we were in a deficit. We are not. We are in a surplus, which is absolutely wonderful.
Well, audio, Rich.
It brought us up, and there, like I said, there were a couple smaller things, some of our newspapers that we count by hand, because they're not cataloged in our system, so they're not, those circulations are not tracked in the software.
Can I ask
Yes.
something that seems obvious to me when you're talking fiscal year 24 over 25, for
Yes.
April, like you pointed out,
Yes,
and you go down to adult audio, again, you know, my thing,
yes.
66 and 24 and 524 in 25. I mean, that's a huge jump year over. year.
So again, I went back to July and added all of the audio in. I now have to go back through FY 24 and see if they were in there as well.
Oh.
Right now, which those numbers are coming to us from the state.
I mean, that
funneled
is
through MBLC.
specifically your adult audio line.
Right, is our e-audio is counted in that, and it hadn't been, which
So
was
what
why
would
our
the
numbers were
66
so low.
be, other than e-audio? It would have been
Our
like,
CDs,
like CDs.
CDs, playaways.
Oh, and players, okay, okay.
The bulk, you can see the breakdown in that middle section, additional information, overdrive audio.
Hmm,
So you can see 371 audio, but that doesn't make sense because it's only 66 audio above.
yes,
So the numbers are missing, which FY 24, I'm not as concerned about because
Well-
we've already got those. We get the final numbers from the state for overdrive and I plug those into our ARIS reports.
right, I was gonna say the
Um,
IRS report. is
We're not
coming.
using this as much for our ARIS report. We're double checking everything.
Okay.
From the final reports from the state and MBLC. So those numbers have already been filed. I really wanted to make sure we were looking at FY 25 accurate numbers. So in truth, actually, the total circulation difference will be off because it doesn't have all of the audio in there. So,
And can I ask one more
Yes.
question? So video is clearly down
yes.
substantially.
Mhm.
So have we been talking about what to do, whether we need videos? Is that a?
We still need videos. It's still strong enough, sir, that it warrants having the collection. We don't have as much allocated purchasing of DVDs
Okay.
because it's, it is a dime.
Mhm.
in that.
Videos as DVDs?
Yes.
All right,
So, that CDs, DVDs, it's a format that's eventually going to go the way of the VHS.
just so we're
Just is
keeping
what
up with
it is.
it because we don't want to be spending money on it if it's not getting checked out.
Correct.
But what may take the place of it down the road is the digital
Streaming.
Mhm.
streaming, which we're not part of today still,
We're
but
not,
you're
because
still
it's
watching that.
Very expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, understood.
So as more libraries buy into it, which is happening as the DVD circulations are going down, more libraries are opting in and we get a better price through the consortium when more libraries are opting in. So that is something we can take a look at.
I know you and I talked about that offline earlier, but not earlier, but previously. One question I have, if no one else minds here, 1 to 3rd section down, under outreach,
Mm-hmm.
is an empty spot.
Yes.
With numbers,
For FY '24. We
20,
didn't break,
25.
so FY '25, we're reporting young adult outreach, which is the DYS facility.
Yeah.
We were not doing that in FY '24. We weren't doing visits. So that's why there's an empty cell there, because there's no numbers to compare. So the two grayed out columns are FY '24.
Right,
Oh, are you looking at,
the line in between J outreach and outreach, there's an empty line and 248 people attended something in fiscal year 25.
right, that is the Y outreach. So apologies, that the text, the column block didn't get carried over. So Y outreach is on the other side of it. It just didn't get carried over. I will add that in for the
Why
next
in?
draft, but you
Yeah.
see what I mean?
I do now.
When we added in that line.
That makes sense, yep. All right, I didn't.
No, that's a good catch. Thank you.
So in that particular case, the live programming and meetings was 840. Excuse me, 24, but only 329 and 25.
I'm sorry, say that one more time. I apologize.
That same section, the very bottom,
Yes.
live programming and meetings,
Mhm.
2024 was 830, and then 2025 was
329,
329.
right, because we're doing fewer virtual programs and fewer hybrid programs. And fewer hybrid meetings, with the exception of this one. So those are the live programs and meetings, those are people that are attending outside and wouldn't be counted on our door counter. Because they're.
That makes sense, gotcha. Thank you.
Mhm. Also too, in that number, a small percentage of that number will be, there's a young adult book club that's held offsite at Aroma Joe's. So those that attend there are also reported in
Gotcha.
that number as well.
Makes sense, thank you.
So it's not just meetings. Any other questions on the CERT report? Okay. Again, I thank you all for your patience with this one. I will, if the board would like, I will go through FY '24 and add in the audio and figure out the difference. So that being said, the year over year difference, it's gonna be off.
Yeah, but as long as you have
So-
an explanation, and as long as you don't need it for the hours.
I don't need the difference for the hours.
Right.
It was just for the.
If you needed it for a report, different story, but let's not spend our time on
Okay,
that.
and what I can do is at the end of this fiscal year, take a look at the number that we reported in ARIS, which will be just a yearly number that was given
Okay.
to us
Yeah.
for overdrive usage, and a yearly number that was given to us from MBLC for our circulation. And then at least have a better idea of where the difference.
I mean, it's important to note it and understand why. We certainly can't go back a year and change it.
Right.
So.
It would only be if if you really were.
I think your
heart
time's
set
better
on
spent
going. Thank you.
doing other things.
And if it were reverse, if we were looking at 524, well, that's kind of happened, right? If we were looking at such a dip for this year, then we'd say, wait a minute, we're right here. Why are we experiencing this? How can we fix it? But that is not what we're talking about.
Right. And I'm very happy to see that our digital content usage has gone up so much. So that additional information, that breakdown kind of in that second,
Mhm.
that middle column, you can
Mhm.
see that this time last year, overdrive was under 7,000. And this time, this year, we're over 9,000. So a significant increase in our digital usage, which is nice. Because we're also seeing an increase in our physical, many of the physical materials as
Right.
well.
Right.
So. Really strong numbers. And like I said, I'm very glad I took the time to go through because it paints an entirely different picture than what we were originally looking at. And I'm just absolutely blown away
Mhm.
by the collection development, the programming that the staff has been doing. So
Please let the staff know the board appreciates them.
absolutely, will do. We have we use Teams chat as a staff, and we have one of the chat feeds. I don't know, I'm old, I don't know their. But one of them is positive praises. So anytime anyone comes, a patron comes in or a board member comes in and says anything positive, we add it in there. So I'll be sure to put a note in that the board appreciates the staff.
Please and thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, no, I think they did an amazing job, especially when they had, director and assistant director in the building for an extended period of time. That was pretty hard work for them to really just
Absolutely.
carry the load.
So moving on to the budget report. So we are almost done with the fiscal year. We have this month and next, and we are wrapping it up. So we're in good shape. The line that we've overspent is contractual. And that's because we're paying, as I said last meeting, we're paying bibliotemps out of that. I crunched some numbers for our salary and wages line, and because we have not been paying an assistant director, we're actually going to have, we should have enough money in our salary and wages line to transfer into contractual. So we shouldn't be requesting a transfer of funds for any of this. Additionally, we will have that $4,600 and change coming back to us from ENE for an invoice that was paid twice. We did receive that check. It has not been put into our account.
Did we figure out how that happened?
No, I have no idea how it happened,
Because
because
that was in December,
no, it was July and August.
a year.
They called me and they said, you've paid an invoice twice. And I go, how do we do that? Because you have to put the invoice number in Munis and it flags it if you put it, the same invoice twice. So I have no idea how it was paid twice.
Huh.
Well,
But it
was the invoice number
Miss
put into Munis?
could be,
Must have been.
could be.
Must have been typed in wrong, otherwise like Loretta said, it would have bounced, right?
It would have flagged it
Yeah,
saying this has
flag,
already been
bounce, same
paid.
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Did the trustees sign off on that bill twice?
Yes.
probably.
Shame on us, we should have.
I don't think we recognize, remember every bill that comes. through.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I do look at them when I sign them, but
Not gonna
Yeah,
remember
I don't
last
remember
month.
from month to month.
Right.
It's the same.
And it could be a continuation of
Yeah,
it.
I
Yeah,
used
I
to
have a
do the
pretty good memory,
invoices,
but,
and so I did. Flag those
So it's
things,
just
but
like-
yeah,
right.
So,
Those steps.
you know, as I spend some time with these reports, there are things that are getting cleaned up, so. We'll be good by the end of the fiscal year. I'm not worried about
And then the zeros that you have under payroll,
Mhm.
why, I think you said last month you were looking to fill those up.
it. I am, so they're all filled up. Except for December, which is in red. There are 2 columns for January and 2 columns for April because there were 2 warrants that month. So one
it's
warrant
July?
didn't have.
Isn't July the third column in a zero?
July is a 2 warrant month as well.
Okay.
So the total spent in July came out that first.
Oh, I thought
Right.
it says A and B, so I thought that the B signified something. Okay.
No,
it
so we
doesn't.
did 2 warrants in July.
Yep,
We did 2 warrants in January and we did 2 warrants in April.
okay,
So the total spent in April is in that first April column, not
gotcha,
the second. one.
okay. Just
So the
want to make
only-
sure.
Thank you. So the only one that is not yet filled in is red, December. That 0 in the December column,
Mhm.
we're still waiting on a payroll, that town hall had processed on the library's behalf during my leave.
Why is it, okay, why is it not, why didn't they give you the numbers?
I have one of the Decembers, but not the second. There were 2 payrolls in December,
And they didn't give you that
and they
one
don't have
yet?
the second one
Oh,
to me yet. So,
in May, they don't have it, that's strange. Yeah.
that was the one that we used for training purposes, so it's not in the folder where all the rest of them
Oh, I
are.
see,
So
so they have to say, okay,
we're fine in that one.
all right.
So again, that will be updated for next month, but that's the only cell on this budget report that is still to be,
Pending.
it is pending, correct,
Pending.
to be changed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on? So because we referenced it earlier in our discussions, under the other, quote unquote, other category, you'll see travels and dues. That dues right there, we have $900 remaining in it, so that's what. So you'll see that reflected on the following, or after I get the invoice from you, whatever month that is. But if we can get it this fiscal year, that would be ideal.
I have until.
So before
Yeah,
June 30th.
June 30th.
Well, unless we want to get it on that warrant, so really by June 1st, if I can get it by June
Oh,
1st.
oh,
Just
that's
type it
pushing it, okay.
You
No,
can get
no,
an invoice. You don't type the invoice out, you have to get it to somebody
no, I'm
else.
the president.
Oh, I'm sorry, Allison, I didn't know you didn't do that, didn't wear multiple hats. I'm sorry, I didn't realize who she was, yes,
I
I'm
have to
sorry, she's
call
the
it-
president, not
I
the
could call
bookkeeper or
our
treasurer.
treasurer and ask her.
She doesn't wear multiple hats.
So yes,
Oh,
if we can
not
get
ideal,
it
but-
by beginning of next month, it'd be ideal.
I'll do my very, very
Thank
best.
you very much.
Tell them by the end of May, so we get it soon.
Well, I'll go home and send her a late
May
night email.
25th.
Help.
May 25th,
Give yourself a buffer,
exactly,
always.
yeah.
So I also want to take, as part of the budget dates, I want to take a look at the capital, the building assessment that Justin and I had been working on, and he presented during my leave. So if there's any questions on it,
Loretta,
the
one
total,
second,
yes,
do we didn't do the programs, was that,
we are, no,
Coming.
that is,
oh, it's at the end there, I'm sorry, I didn't catch it right away, I'm sorry,
that's okay.
go ahead,
So we're still on budget.
yes.
So I'd like to get a vote from the board to move forward with this.
So I'd just like to ask some questions, because this is not something I really was expecting. This $31,800 plus $800 if they have extra, if they have to add in site visits, will be added on top of that. That is just the consultant to manage the capital projects, the projects that are going to be done.
This is to get all of these
The work done.
work done.
I just, see,
On the
that's not
building.
the way I read this. I
Each
read it
one.
and they listed what needs to be done, but it seemed that they were managing it, not doing it.
So they're not gonna be doing the work, that people will be coming in.
So the 31,800,
It's to.
It's like they're a
create-
contractor,
Or
The-
geez,
the-
the
plan.
GC's doing the job and they
GC.
hire a sub.
No,
These
Yeah.
these are the subs.
Thank you, I don't feel like I wasn't explaining that,
so, I'm
right?
sorry, Costa.
these are the G's.
So-
Yeah,
So BCA, for example, in number 2 scope of work, will contract ScanSure to Laser. And so ScanSure is the one that's going to come in and do the drawings, and this 31,000 includes paying ScanSure.
Correct.
If-
Amongst
if
the other
you-
items.
If you hired ABC builders to come in and do your kitchen over, you wouldn't pay the electrician and the plumber and
The subs.
you would pay the ABC builder and they would pay the contractor, the electrician and the plumber. This is the same thing, only library speak.
So BCA, I think, I don't know if you heard us, Allison, Mark, and I say, is basically the GC, the
Right,
general
except
contractor,
I
and then they
see
sub it out.
in
But
number
you don't
two.
think it's clear?
I don't think it's clear because it says BCA will produce construction drawings and technical specifications for the restoration of the building's exterior, and then they list everything it's going to include. And they're gonna submit the documents to the town for review, and then they're gonna get them ready to go out to bid. But I don't see anything repaired.
Now, this $31,800 is to create the specifications of and outlines of what the actual people working will do and how they will do it. And they will the $8,000 is for construction administration. That's them being on site, checking on the work being done correctly. This $31,800 creates the framework for the work to be done, so that everybody knows what needs to be done, what materials are going to be used.
Right.
And somebody to oversee it to make sure that it's done per the plans.
And that's exactly what I understood, so thank you for that. I just don't see where it says that it also includes paying the subcontractors. Where in this contract does
It
it
does
say to
not.
me it's gonna also pay the
It
subcontractor?
says,
Under fees.
$1,200 of this is opinion of probable costs. So we won't know what the cost is until the construction documents are prepared and go out. Once they prepare the construction documents, they will offer an opinion as to what
The
will
actual
cost.
work will cost.
And
So this
then-
is not-
Or should come.
This is not an estimate of
the
getting the
work.
work done.
Thank you.
This
Thanks.
is just all the stuff that goes to getting an accurate picture of the building and what it needs.
Right,
And the
scope
bidding
it
of
out,
it.
basically.
And scope
Yes,
it out.
okay,
Scope
so
it out.
I did read it properly and I did understand it properly. So what we're saying is $31,800 just gets us a nice opinion and a nice plan, but it doesn't get us any work done.
It's
Well,
the soft costs
So, yeah,
of,
So what is it?
We don't know
We don't
until
know.
they do the work.
I
Until
thought
they get the
Justin
bids.
had said at a meeting at one point what it was going to cost, but all he was talking about was this.
was this getting this scope of work done.
yeah, I think you're mentioning, I'm sorry, Costa, you're saying at one point someone had quoted $140,000 to do
Yeah.
this.
Uh-huh,
And this now has come back at a reasonable number to do this, which then will determine the actual work needs to be done.
And in what steps it needs to be done.
Right.
and that might end up being, I'll just use your number, 140,000. In other words, whatever the extra is, it's gonna be the amount on top of that.
So we're paying someone to come in and actually do these laser scans and then.
Do the plans.
Find things that, I think we saw the cracks in the wall or whatever that
We
was.
already had that done. The part where they came and looked and said there's
Yes,
cracks in the wall.
This is to.
And how much did that cost?
I don't recall, but this is to do the plans to get
Those
fixed.
problems.
What
fixed.
materials are gonna be used, what order things are gonna be
And then
done.
we spend money to buy the materials and to hire the people to do
Yes,
the
then-
actual labor.
Once the plans are done, you can go out to bid, we have to as a public thing.
Right,
We'll get, bids, XYZ company and say, we'll bid 120. Another company 150, somebody else may be 90. The 90 may not be a qualified bidder because when you look at their experience and you don't want to deal with them. So
right.
you have to award the contract to the lowest qualified bidder.
So you don't have to take just like five construction companies give it. It has to be somebody that can repair an older building.
Or certified.
The
to do
bricks, the
so.
foundation, the
Yeah.
copper, whatever.
Because we are also in the National Register.
Right, so a
we
national,
have
so,
to-
yeah.
So it has to be, in any bid, anytime the town goes out to bid for services, it's always the lowest qualified bidder is the criteria.
Okay,
The bidder has to prove that they have the capacity to do the work that you're being done and not just go on the lowest price.
I guess I was just caught off guard that this number, this 31,000 was for a
Plans and oversight.
consultant.
Yeah,
Yeah, for a consultant, plans and everything, yeah, I thought we had numbers about the actual cost of the work, but we don't.
So we had received an estimate on getting the roof and the copper work done. That's separate from this. That sort of got this kind of moving, saying, okay, there's more work that needs to be done here. We need to really get someone in to get the building assessed.
Right.
Figure out the needs, the real needs. of
But
the
that was
building.
this first step,
So
was getting it
that-
assessed.
We've had the assessment done.
Yes, and I.
They're now
yeah.
putting it together, saying, okay, this is what we recommend, top priority. They're gonna have someone come in and price it out, basically,
So
determine the scope. of it.
does this $31,800 include that first piece? Where they kind of walked all around the building and sent us those amazing pictures?
No, that's already been paid.
And how much, do we remember how much that
I
was?
don't.
So there was that cost and now there's this cost and then there's the
the next cost is the actual physical work.
physical work.
Correct. This is just the first step in the capital process.
Gotcha.
It's a process, Allison.
It is. a
No, but I
whole
was,
process. Yeah,
I misunderstood, and then I read this report, I had an understanding of what this 31,000 was going to be, and then I read this report and I said, oh, I was wrong.
right, because I think we at one point had talked about having someone come in and just fix the roof and the copper work.
Okay,
And then we realized there's more to it.
And Justin
And
came
that's,
in,
and
yeah.
that's when we've said we really need to kind of
Yes,
take a look
yeah.
at this.
yes, and they found phenomenal things, but I guess being a cheapskate, I really thought we were gonna get done for less.
No,
I'm
Nothing's
surprised
cheap
how
anymore.
much it's costing.
Nothing's cheap.
And this all started at last year's, capital,
Exactly.
budget discussion where, there was, the need, Loretta came with, the roof and, the open things. And we said, well, it's great, but we don't wanna do things piecemeal, so $60,000, as I recall, was allocated, toward sort of getting an assessment and, really understanding what needs to be done and doing it in a rational way. So this
Right.
31,800 is going to be paid by that $60,000 that was funded by the Community Preservation Act.
Now, do they think that, I see it's extra visits beyond 8 are $800.
Yes,
I mean, how are they, how sure are they that it's gonna be just 8 visits? And, how do you control the number of visits beyond the 8?
That will be part of Justin's job.
Okay, somebody will look at that to make sure that,
And we have to.
Yeah,
assume
he's the
that-
chief procurement
Okay,
officer
yeah.
for the town.
okay, no problem, just wondering.
And we have to assume that the company that we've hired is made a good faith estimate that 8 is gonna be enough. And I think they have to cover themselves to say,
Yeah.
if we find there's something else that I have to come out 2 more times and have to pay more man hours. But I would
Yeah,
think
okay,
that if they were,
no, that's, I just wanted to
yeah, it's a good question.
throw that out there.
It's a
so
valid,
that-
valid.
yeah,
question.
I
They-
saw that extra 800, just like you, Susan.
They
and I said,
work, they
"Whoa."
work really hard on that, doing all of what they need to do on each visit.
Cause this number is for 12 weeks of work. And then anything over that, any additionals is 800. I would love to see it done in 12 weeks.
Sure. So you're looking for us to move to approve this for now and we'll move forward and so,
I'll make a motion to accept the, what do you call it, the
BCA,
BCA, proposal here.
For scope of work,
Well, it doesn't matter, it's just the BCA proposal
okay,
that has been submitted for provide services exterior restoration of the Flint
I second,
for 31,800.
for 31,000. Thank you. Dollar
I
amount would be
second.
good.
So moved by Maria, seconded by Susan, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm not gonna oppose, but I'm gonna abstain. I don't feel like I know enough and I have to watch, I'm learning about this.
Sure.
Oh,
So four and one abstention. Thank you all, and so moving to staffing and training updates.
Yes. So we have we've narrowed the assistant director candidates down to 3. We had our second round interviews with 2 of them last week. Third one
I'm
will
sorry,
be in
could you back up? How many did you have? How many applications did you have?
over 40.
Ooh, 40
I'm
apps,
not
and then
surprised.
and then you whittled it to,
Down to 18 with library management experience.
oh, okay,
And then we interviewed 7.
that's a good amount. So you interviewed 7, and then you're down to what now? Still the 7? 3 finalists.
For the finalists. Yeah,
Nice,
3
that's a
finalists
good
for the
amount.
second round. Yes,
Are they local?
yes.
Like meaning not so much Middleton, right? Are they all from Middleton? No.
No. Gone are those days.
Yeah.
So, no, but they're
Local,
they're
reasonable
reasonable commutes, yes.
commutes. That's a good amount.
So, yeah, so our final one will be this week, and then we hope to make an offer next week.
Oh, final interview. you mean?
Final interview,
And then
will be this
decision.
week, and decision.
And
offer
next week
extended,
offer.
hopefully next week.
Now, who's doing that? Is that Jackie and
Jared
yourself?
Dressman.
Cool.
So
Okay.
part of the second round of the interviews, the final round of interviews is a meet and greet with the staff, which has gone really well. Staff's able to kind of meet them, ask their questions, get to know them a little bit, but also they get to know the staff a little bit. So, that seems to be working really well. I'm excited that we're doing it. And like I said, the final one will be this week.
Nice, very nice, good.
The circulation assistant position, we have a vacancy. Sorry.
What's an anticipated start date?
We don't have one yet. We won't know until the job is extended and accepted, and then how much notice they need to give for their work. So we don't know.
Month, maybe.
Maybe they give a month, I don't know.
No, meaning a month, in a month they'd be here, maybe.
Pushing it
Yeah, I
because
don't
you
know.
have to go through all
Right.
sorts of,
No, you don't. not
you
really.
have to get, your query and all that kind of
That's
stuff
right.
back,
I
right?
have a better
Overnight.
idea once it's.
It's pretty quick.
Yeah. So,
No, those things
Additional
are pretty
updates
quick. It's
coming.
more about what they have to give as a notice for their current job. If they're all currently employed, it sounds like they might be the 3.
I would, just think, in terms of July 1.
Yeah.
That's what
July
I'm
is
thinking.
our
Well,
fiscal
June,
year.
July is, to
Sounds
me,
sensible.
that's what I'm thinking, a month-ish, June, July.
right.
Yep.
I mean, we're
The sooner the better.
already halfway through May.
Yeah,
Realistically.
absolutely. I wasn't
it
thinking
probably would be
Early
July.
June, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, July.
Probably
Yeah.
July. But again, I
May's
don't wanna-
almost
I
over.
don't lock me into that.
No, May's almost, I mean.
Yeah, it won't,
May's
it will not be
like-
this month.
Yeah, to me, May's,
Oh, my gosh,
May's done
I
for
can't even
things like
get
that.
invoice this month.
I think most important is finding the right person,
Absolutely.
more than timing and.
Well, time
and
is important. You don't want them to say in 6 months. But you wouldn't extend an offer if they said, I can't start in 6 months,
That would change.
Yes.
For sure.
Hopefully, I know 40 applications itself is a lot of work.
That's a
so
lot.
Wow.
So we had,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
we
a
had
lot.
That's a
of
lot.
interest.
But that's great to have that many.
And you're
interest.
saying more than half of those did not meet the criteria for, what did you call it?
Library management experience.
Library management experience?
Correct.
Well, you get that.
So you get it, yeah.
So
And
great.
then you were mentioning the assistant circulation.
So
That's a
we have a
part-time
vacancy
position, right?
in,
Yeah.
correct, for a circulation assistant. We have a vacancy that has been posted. It is still open. We are accepting applications. If you know anyone that's looking for a part-time circulation job, the Flint Public Library,
I know
send them
someone
my
who
way.
submitted one.
Perfect.
I do.
So they are going to HR at this time.
Mhm.
And then Jackie and I will
Yeah, she
review.
did.
But right now, we're really just trying to get through the
Born and
Eight
raised here,
hiring
so that would be nice.
wonderful,
How many hours?
19 to
thinking?
20, it said.
max 19. But usually it's,
Oh, yeah, because of benefits and such.
Yeah, the listing said 19 to 20 when I looked at it online. Oh,
You gotta
it said 19 to
March that
20.
line, yeah.
Ooh, I thought it did,
Take a look.
in my
Where-
brain, that's what I kind of remember seeing. I could be wrong though. Because maybe if you're saying, no, 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 it can't be, because of the benefits thing.
Right, it should be 15 to 19.
I don't, unless my eyeball caught the 9.
Yeah, you can't go to 20, it's too much on the
And
line.
then if we have a holiday, it drops down.
Right,
to holiday
right,
Monday.
right.
So we advertised it 10 to 19 hours per week, 19 max.
But if that's.
I gave you a
10
little
hours,
heart attack there, Loretta, sorry.
Well, 10 is a week if we're closed Sunday, Monday.
Mhm.
So it could be as a 10.
Oh, you're
No.
flexing it that,
Yes.
okay, I see.
Um,
And can I
never
ask,
was.
what are we advertising for, the salary?
Hourly rate.
The hourly rate is the same as our circulation assistants, all circulation assistants, which I should know off the top of my head, it's 23 something. 23.87 per hour.
I'm gonna fall off my chair. I started at $7.95 an hour when I started.
Well, Allison, 19 or 18.
I was just gonna say, no. Careful, all
I
right,
started at $7 an hour, 5 something, and then 7.
yeah,
Times have changed,
Oh,
Mhm.
for
go
sure.
ahead, Susan.
I started at $2.65.
Yeah,
What, 18,
So-
what was that?
yeah.
18?
Yeah, 92.
So like I said, we have the part-time position opening, if interested,
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
still available. So as we had talked about, there will be a CPR training for town employees next month. I was at the safety committee meeting this morning. They actually decided to offer another one in July.
Mhm.
So, we hopefully will have an opportunity where all staff can be recertified. And this will be done annually. That's the plan, to be done annually with the town. So. July and August, I'm sorry, June and July for CPR and AED.
Mhm.
Good.
Yes, exactly. So that's it for staffing and training. Building updates. We are still working on getting the electricity issues figured out, the lighting issues figured out. I'm working with Scott, the facilities manager for the schools, on getting contractors to reach out to, connect with, see if we can figure out the issue. Because our electrician came back and the price was much higher than we thought, so we're gonna have to go to bid for it. So,
What was it?
40.
so right now we have an computer that's programming, they're controlling the programming of the lights. It was old, it was old technology when we put it in, when we did the expansion and renovation. So the company that manufactures it no longer services it and no longer has parts. So it will need to be replaced. And that's kind of what we're looking at doing right now. So we're in that weird sort of position where we're trying to make new technology work with old technology, which is the same issue that we ran into when we were updating everything in the meeting room here.
Yes.
So, it can be done, but we're just trying to figure out a cost-effective way to do it. So that is still an ongoing, issue that we're working on. We did have a plumbing issue that backed up, that was taken care of. So we're good there. This month we have the Memorial Day ceremony. Our grounds are being taken care of by the DPW, so a big thank you to them for getting everything looking nice for the ceremony. I'll talk a little bit more about the dates and times for that when I move into the library programming and services, but as for the building and grounds updates, thank you to the DPW. And also a thank you to the garden club for planting the flowers around our electronic sign in preparation for the Flags In, which is this weekend. Oakdale ceremony, cemetery, and also for Memorial Day. So we're looking sweetly. So it takes a village, and I appreciate everyone, their efforts. So now we're moving on to the program statistics sheet that Maria had asked about earlier. It's that pretty colorful one. Blues, the greens, and the purples. So again, this is for the month of April, looking at last month's programming statistics. We had 30 adult programs and 320 attendees. 317 were in person, 3 did attend virtually on one of our hybrid programs
So would you averaging about 10 people programs?
on average. But you will see many of them are up over that. So our gallery, for the month of April, we had the art show, a month-long gallery that we had in this meeting room. For the opening night, we had 36 attendees for that. So we're very excited to have that partnership. Because people, the patrons that came in and viewed raved about it. And I don't know if you all had a chance to take a look at some of the artwork that was hanging in the meeting room here last month, but it was absolutely beautiful. There's a lot of very talented people here in town. So the blue category is obviously teens, it's labeled teens. We had 5 programs and 19 attendees. The purple section has our children's, well, the teen numbers it's a little difficult to report because we partner our teen librarian and our teen librarian and our children's programming librarian, they partner together so that we can stretch our programming dollars. And we'll do tween and teen combined programs. Those are reported under the children's programming.
Right.
So those are in red. So we actually have more teen programming than what it looks like
Okay,
is being reported in that blue category.
okay.
So
Yeah,
Just
no, I see
be
you.
mindful of
It's
that.
just the, yeah. Can I go back a minute?
Mhm.
To the gallery reception?
yes,
Because I remember there was a huge debate over locking the doors and that kind of stuff, and how did that work out?
so the doors remained locked. They were only open during meetings and programs. So patrons could come in and browse the artwork during meetings.
And that worked out?
Yes,
The programs didn't feel like they were being interrupted with people wandering through?
and so there was a period where we had people stay after the program, so they stayed a little bit longer. And they watched it. That was the only time that we really ran into an issue because we were looking to break down the room and set up the room, but it worked out.
I'm hoping that with the new town center and more community space, that we'll be able to feature art. Not try to combine 3 things in one room,
Mhm.
you know? I think art programs at a library are so lovely.
But that's also gonna, the new town hall will, the town center will take away from visits that incidentally, they came for something, but then went and borrowed books. You know, and I think that's gonna, some of the numbers are probably gonna decrease. Definitely.
I mean, that's something that we're going to keep in mind,
Yeah.
but I don't think so,
Uh-huh.
only because we'll have our space back for all the things that we do really well.
Oh, okay.
Which is, the programming.
Yeah.
And the collection.
I
So
think you're right.
I don't think, I can't sing the praises of the creativity, that my staff have. They are very good at problem solving.
Mhm.
Even when we hit the pandemic, we were the first library to pivot to virtual programming. We didn't see the dip in numbers that many libraries did, and I foresee that being something that happens here. So I think what the big changes that we will see may be, looking at how we're funding programming and how we're staffing the building to make it happen, but, I don't, maybe I'm overly optimistic, but I don't see it dipping
Okay.
too much. So, and.
Do we have any way of tracking, for example, those 36 people who came into the gallery reception? How many books those people checked out? I mean, to Susan's point,
No.
No, I
And that's a
think
patron
it's too
privacy
hard.
thing.
Yeah,
And that's a
only
patron privacy. We
anecdotally.
wouldn't do that
Yeah.
anyway.
You'd have to say, yeah, I think I saw 3 or 4 of those people get
yeah,
books.
no, I.
You wouldn't, yeah, wouldn't be able to say that Mary Smith took 3 books, but.
No, I thought it was just a hypothetical, really, sorry.
But good thinking. I appreciate all the brainstorming. So looking at the kids programming. you know, this is where I just realized the column is not totaling all the cells. It says that we had 8 kids programs, but that is not true.
Yeah, I noticed that was pretty off in general. I was like, what, huh?
So we had 19 on my quick count. We had 19 programs. So again, I'll have to change the formula in that spreadsheet because it doesn't look like it's pulling all the numbers. But we had 390 attend the kids programming. So children love their libraries.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
when it was just the basement in the old building.
Even then.
I love the
even
basement one.
then,
Yeah.
I have such
It
a
was
soft spot.
cozy. Mrs. Turner.
Mhm. And Mrs. Matthews, yep, who
Mrs.
both
Turner
got
had
the chest pulled
soft spot.
every spring during the great
Sent
thaw.
them. Very nice.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that wonderful Peace and Pause for tweens that had to be canceled.
That was for, I believe. I don't think, you know, I'm not gonna speak to that one, because I don't know whether it was canceled for performer, the dog, and handler.
Yes, handler, that's exactly the term.
Dog and handler canceled, or whether that was for due
The
to
dog
registrations, I
canceled.
don't know. The dog canceled.
Here, he just-
Dogs get sick
I
too,
think I
but
heard the dog cancer.
I don't.
I was a dog and handler and I often went to our library for programs and got to the point where my dog was about 15 years old and I said, I think I have to take her, give her a break. She has to retire.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think the dogs like it more than the
They
kids.
adore-
But the kids are excited. They're over and ecstatic. I
But the
swear
dogs know
love
exactly
it.
what to do. They're
Yeah.
amazing.
So that's programs. And then looking ahead for this month, we will be hosting Memorial Day ceremony. We have it on the library lawn, the Memorial Day ceremony on Monday, the 26th. It's 9 o'clock here on the lawn by the memorial. There's a parade down to Oakdale Cemetery. And then there'll be events that are a lunch at the Legion. So there is a flyer in the hallway if it's something that you're interested in. Details are on that. And then looking ahead for June before our meeting, the Pride Picnic, Tri-Town Pride Picnic is Sunday, June 1st. We will have staff presence at both the Memorial Day and the June Tri-Town Pride Picnic event as well. But then after that,
And that is in
It will
what
be-
town?
Topsfield Common.
Topsfield. Do we check books out at that or give out library cards at that?
We do both,
We do both.
yes.
Good. I hope, didn't we have rain? I hope.
So, and I was going to follow up my statement with, it is weather dependent, whether we circulate or bring materials. And bring our electronic tablets and Wi-Fi, our mobile hotspots. If it's raining and windy, I'm not risking it.
Mhm.
That's a lot of money to be damaged,
Mhm.
so. But if the weather's nice, yes, we do circulate. And register patrons. with
Yes.
us.
I know, take a laptop and just type it right in.
Yeah, so we have little tablets with handheld scanners, which are
Mhm.
really nice.
Yeah.
So it makes it very efficient. But then we'll be meeting, so I can provide any follow-up. For Chief Will's Day, which is June 28th. So pencil that into your calendars. And we will be there as well. Chief Will's Day. But I'll talk a bit more about the details of that at the June meeting when we get closer. All right, that's it from me. Unless you have any questions.
Hearing none,
I'll make a motion.
motion to move by Sue, second by Maria, all in favor,
I don't think we have to do that.
Yeah, we actually have for adjournment, but
any adjourned.
nice to have a good meeting. It's
Thanks, Ann.
nice to see all these,
Thank
you
you.
have some reports and updates.
That's good.
I appreciate everyone. taking the time. We're making good things happen.
Only thing, Loretta, I mean, it doesn't matter. Could you make sure you try to get, I'd really like to see
Recording.
that's okay, I'm not gonna say anything fresh. Don't worry, Mark. I would. I
So
would
thank
be
you to
here
all our
either way.
attendees.
It'd be nice to get everything like by Friday,